Ball's Breakdown. That's right, where yours truly, Scotty Ball, breaks down last week's football activity and breaks down the upcoming week's football preview activity. Ball's Breakdown. All right, bam. All right, so every week here to start Ball's Breakdown, which, like I said, is the new football segment where we're going to break down everything in the NFL for you best we can here with using my expert guru elite football mind. Best I can here for you, starting with the Vikes last game, the Vikes film. I rewatch the Vikings games in great detail. I study the film of every play and every player on every play every week in between the game and when I talk to you here on Wednesday nights. So let's get to it, okay? Because it pains me, okay? It pains me to say what I'm about to say. Because I love Paul Allen. Now, Minnesotans know who Paul Allen is. For those of you who do not know who Paul Allen is the radio voice of the Minnesota Vikings, and he is the absolute best in the business. He reminds me of back in the good old day when Kevin Harlan was the radio and TV voice of the Minnesota Timberwolves. Very similar, just elite at that job, as good as it gets. The NFL and ESPN are so dumb for not bringing this guy up to their ranks. A la what happened to Kevin Harlan on TNT TBS. But he does this all-22 thing on KFan every week where he considers himself an elite football mind, and for the most part he usually is or has been. But this whole year, his all-22 film take, it's just been so off. So off. I can't, week after week, this week worst of all, I can't get over how wrong he is. Every week, it's ridiculous. Players he thinks played great didn't play good at all, or just played mediocre. Players he thinks didn't do very good and need to improve, they had really solid freaking performances. Just all kinds of just completely wrong takes and analysis of the film. So I am taking it upon myself to give you, the Vikings fans, you, the sports world, the accurate takes on this. Alright? So, first let's start out with the coaches, get them out of the way. Zimmer coached a fairly decent game, both as a head coach and as the defensive coordinator, the guy calling the defensive shots. Norv, not as much as an offensive play caller, got too pass happy in the second half. Still making really questionable situational play calls throughout the entirety of the game, both early on and throughout. So Zimmer's performance as a coach, pretty good. Could have been better. There was just a few here and there that he missed. But overall, good. Great. Norv, C- to D+ on this one, just a little below average or acceptable. But so there's your coach's take, and I'm not gonna go into a long reason why. You just need to trust. You need to trust that I'm right. Now, to clarify on Zimmer, he stated that the big touchdown run that they gave up to Hillman was on him. It was a bad play call. So obviously, I looked at that very closely when I was rewatching the film, and he was just being nice. Did he have a perfect play call for that? No. But was it a bad play call, or was that the reason that the play was as successful as it was? Absolutely not. That play was more than anything the result of Trey Waynes just getting owned on the outside, as well as Chad Greenway getting taken out with a really weak block. And boom, that was it. Those two guys, that was your hole. And then Blanton being the third person to blame, taking just a horribly off, wrong angle in pursuit that should have kept it to a 15 to 20 yard gain, not a touchdown. But so it was completely on those three players. The entire defense was already slanting and pursuing that run side, play side, on that play. Like I said, it was simply Terrence Newman getting owned and Chad Greenway getting taken out that created the hole. Both unacceptable on their part. Terrence Newman needs to do a better job of at least holding his ground if he's going to get blocked the whole time. And Chad Greenway can't let some little fullback or pulling tight end just, shoot at his knees and his waist and completely take him out of a play. You use your arms, keep some separation, and stay on your feet. Like he completely got taken onto the ground as a result of it. And then Blanton coming in full speed, just completely, like I said, wrong angle in pursuit. And that was the explanation for that play. Not Zimmer's play call, but Zimmer was, he was trying to own some of it, and you got to respect that. I like Zimmer quite a bit. He's still got some improving and some learning to do as a head coach. But for a guy whose record is sub 500, 9-11, I believe in him, and I think he's got what it takes. But I also think everybody needs to be just a little bit more critical and open-minded in assessing his job and Teddy Bridgewater's. Because here in Minnesota, it seems like neither one of them can do any wrong, and everyone will always come up with a plethora of excuses, to coincide any real accurate explanations onto how they messed up, and pass the blame on to someone else. So, now bringing up Teddy, let's get to Teddy. Paul Allen, voice of the Vikings, referred to this game against the Broncos, in which we lost 23-20, and the final offensive play we had was a fumble sack on Teddy Bridgewater that came from the right side, from his face side, that in this loss, where he committed the game-losing turnover and only passed for one touchdown, this was the best game of his 17-game career. That's an insult to Teddy, first and foremost. And to everything he's done in the first 16 games. That is a horrible insult. Teddy played an okay game. If I were to give his game a rating on a 1 to 10 scale, I would give it a 5. No lower than a 4. Definitely no more than a 6. And I guarantee you that if I went back and watched the film throughout his previous 16 starts, that he's had games where I could give him a solid 6 or 7 or 8 rating. That was not the case in last week's game at all. The entire first half, Teddy was bad, horrible. When I was watching the film on him, what I do is any play where he makes an impressively good play, a little above and beyond the Call of Duty, or with a high degree of difficulty or anything like that, I give him a plus point for an impressive mark. Anytime he fails, flat out fails, is the reason the play isn't successful or productive, I give him a minus. And then anything in between, whether it be a successful play or an unsuccessful play, but it's routine or it's not his fault, then those go unrecorded, okay? So let's take a look at how many minuses Teddy got from the film and how many pluses Teddy got from the film. Pluses, we got 1, 2 in the first half is all. Then we got 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. We got 11. So second half started being better, especially fourth quarter. You see, as I look through my notes, first quarter was nothing. Second quarter was little. Third quarter was little until towards the end of the third quarter. End of the third quarter, up until that last drive, Teddy Bridgewater was playing very well at a high level. But that's it. That is the only part of that game that he played a very good football game. That's only one full quarter out of 4, if you break it down. So it's, and then coincidentally, let's look at the minuses. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. 14 failed plays on the part of Teddy Bridgewater, where his specific influence on the play resulted in it being unsuccessful. Not the offensive line, not a wide receiver, not a play call, not just great play from the defense where, they had an awesome call and whatever, where I pause the film, pick it apart, can freeze frame it, and show you exactly what should have happened as opposed to what did happen, and that it's all in the hands of Teddy. So while Teddy did make all the plays, physically it was one of Teddy's best games, one of his best games physically. We saw him make every kind of play you can want to make. He's throwing the ball well deep down the field for at least he can, not with consistency at all, but his throws, he made every kind of throw. He played well with his legs when he had to, or when he decided to. But mentally, he is so far off yet. He has little to no pocket awareness whatsoever. He drops back, sits on his mark, and just sits there. You watch all the great quarterbacks with way less elusiveness and athleticism than Teddy. Peyton Manning, Drew Brees, Tom Brady, all these great guys. Watch them when they get to the end of their drop back. If it's a 5-step drop, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, boom. Watch them then. What they do is they keep their feet moving, and they're feeling the pressure, and they're moving within the pocket throughout the play, because the pocket moves throughout the course of a play. It shifts. Okay? Teddy is the main reason for almost every sack, because he drops back to his mark and he sits on it. He doesn't have any ability to sense or feel pressure coming and just simply, hop step up, hop step to the right, boom, I'm good for another 3 to 5 seconds now. Like, he has no sense of that whatsoever. And then the other thing is he's still only got 2 receiving options on every play, option A or option Z. He won't ever come from the right side of the field to the left side of the field. He'll barely get from the right side of the field to the middle of the field in his progressions. There are so many plays. There's an easy completion wide open. If he would just make the correct pre-snap read on who the primary target is now, that we have an idea what the defense is running, because the primary receiving threat, when you call the play coming out of the huddle, should not still be the guaranteed primary receiving threat once you get up to the line of scrimmage and see the formation and the play set of the defense. Your primary receiver then changes. It adjusts to that, and Teddy is not doing that pre-snap, and he's especially not doing it post-snap. All he does is stare down his primary target until he feels that he can throw to it, or until the last possible second to check it down to the last option, the check down receiver. But none of the B, C, and D option receivers down the field are even being looked at or considered or acknowledged. And Teddy is leaving so many yards and plays and drives out there on the field because of his lack of understanding mentally of how to play the quarterback position in the NFL. He is a really, really long ways away from that. I'm not trying to be overreactive. It is what it is, and people need to stop babying him and giving him all the excuses in the world. Our offensive line stunk because he got sacked 7 times. Only 2 of those sacks were on the offensive line. And you could argue that even those ones weren't on the offensive line, that they were on the play calling and the scheme, and that Teddy needs to go, wow, I've got 10 seconds on the play clock here. They're showing 6 to 7 guys coming with the blitz. I've only got 5 guys in here set to block. I need to bring in a tight end, or hold the running back in for protection. He's not doing any of that. He's just staring at the freaking center's butt for the last 5 seconds until he snaps him the ball. It is not. Mentally, he's so far off, guys. So far off. But so that's where we're at. Teddy can make all the plays. I think eventually he will get it. I love Teddy as a person, great guy, want him to be successful, but we got to stop denying all of his mistakes. Otherwise, they're never going to get identified and corrected, and he's just going to continue to make them. And if this was his best game and this is what we have to look forward to, then we are never going to be a division